Hello, I'm Cyndi Garcia. You're watching GBC World News broadcasting from Houston, Texas. Thank you for joining us. In world news this hour, in Norway, a candlelight vigil for the victims of the bombing and shooting incident was held over the weekend. GBC World News has more on this remembrance.
Mourners attend a night vigil in Oslo, Norway Sunday for the 93 victims of the deadly bombing and shooting attacks over the weekend. A Norwegian man is suspected of killing 7 people with a bomb in Oslo's government district, then shooting 86 at a youth camp. One of those killed, a camp counselor who, in an ironic twist of fate, had struck up a conversation with the suspect while on a ferry to the camp. Witnesses said she'd been suspicious of him, however, and reported him to an off-duty policeman when she arrived. He shot her soon thereafter. The man suspected of carrying out the bombing and shootings, 32-year-old Anders Behring Breivik, is expected to appear in court later Monday. His lawyers say he'll admit to the crimes, claiming his actions were, quote, atrocious but necessary. In Paris, police entered the home of the man believed to be Breivik's father on Sunday. Norwegian media say the man has not been in contact with his son since 1995.
In Russia, divers find 6 more bodies in the Bulgaria boat wreck. And as GBC World News reports, this as the death toll rises to 120 in one of the worst river disasters.
Divers pull 6 more bodies from the wreck of a tourist boat that sank in the Volga River 2 weeks ago, raising the death toll to 120 in Russia's worst river disaster in decades. 2 people are still missing and are presumed dead. The overcrowded 56-year-old vessel sank in stormy waters on a river bend July 10th. 79 of the 201 people on board were rescued. The steering wheel was pulled hard right and the engine set to full steam, suggesting the captain made a last-ditch effort to reach the shore. The sinking, in which many of the victims were children, shocked the nation and prompted calls for improved safety. Russian investigators have arrested the boat's tour operator and local river fleet inspector in a criminal probe.
Unrest erupts in Yemen as demonstrators continue to call for the end of President Saleh's rule. GBC World News brings you more.
They have been on the streets of Sana'a for 6 months. They continue to call for the end of President Ali Abdullah Saleh's 33-year rule. As demonstrations persist in Yemen's capital city, unrest erupts in other parts of the country. On Sunday, a suicide bomber drove into a car at an army checkpoint in Aden, killing at least 9 soldiers and wounding 21 others. In Taiz, a woman and a girl were killed during fighting over the weekend between forces loyal to Saleh and his opponents. Both sides blamed each other. They were killed when mortar rounds hit their house. Western powers and neighboring Saudi Arabia, both targets of Yemen-based al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, have tried to contain rising chaos by pressing Saleh to sign a Gulf-brokered plan to hand over power. He has backed out of the deal 3 times and has vowed to return to Yemen once he is recovered from an attack on his palace earlier this year.
Dozens of Libyan women in Benghazi fire machine guns in the air to celebrate the end of their military training session on Friday as they vowed to take up arms against Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. Women in the Libyan rebel stronghold have been encouraged to contribute to the rebel fight at the same time as the Libyan government has recruited women in Tripoli to fight against the rebels. One of Benghazi's rebel training camps started a special military training program a couple of months ago to teach females how to defend themselves and use weaponry correctly, including anti-aircraft machine guns. The new female recruits are ready to fight against the embattled leader Muammar Gaddafi alongside the NATO forces, which have been involved in a lengthy military campaign. The female recruits in the training camp hope they are bringing to an end a male-dominated era in Libya and to Gaddafi's regime, under which they had limited social and cultural rights. Gaddafi is clinging to power despite a 4-month-old NATO air campaign and 5 months of fighting with rebels who have seized large swaths of the North African country. NATO has continued to hammer Gaddafi's forces around Libya, striking twice in central Tripoli on Monday. You're watching GBC World News. I'm Cyndi Garcia. We will be right back after this break.